Hi, it's Craig again, and here for another quick introduction on one of the studies that we did in the men's Bible study on Tuesday night. Um, if you watched my first video, uh, you'll see that I referenced screen sharing, and I didn't really, I guess, understand what I was doing, and it didn't work. So you got to watch me talk about what I thought you were looking at. But I guess that's okay as we learn how to use this technology. I'll try to do it a better way this time. But I just wanted to do a quick introduction. If you weren't part of the Tuesday night Bible study, men's Bible study, that I wanted to talk a little bit about what we discussed. We took a departure from the study in Luke, and it was largely, it was right around Easter, and it was right when there seemed to be a lot of anxiety and kind of concern about the pandemic and the home stay-at-home orders and a lot of chatter around the internet, and depending on how much of that you allow yourself to engage with, maybe affects the level of anxiety you have. But it seemed that the topic of strength and courage was one that was appropriate, and it was largely inspired by my 2-year-old grandson, who was learning Joshua 1:9 to be strong and courageous, and in his voice and animations, it was just the best thing ever. And so I'll give him credit for that. But we went over 3 passages in looking at the context of being encouraged to be strong and courageous. And I thought, well, what were the circumstances of men in the Bible that we read about, learn about? What were their circumstances when they were encouraged to be strong and courageous, and how might it even compare with our circumstances today? So I'm going to share my screen with you now, and hopefully this will work. I'm not going to go through the notes because this is really an introduction. If you would like them to, I'll be happy to share them with you, or if you'd like me to review them with you, happy to do that, just as a way to connect and so forth. But what we looked at was Joshua 1:9, and we really looked at what were the conditions around the really the admonition to Joshua to be strong and courageous. 3 times he was given that direction to be strong and courageous, and his circumstances were quite serious. Just being handled the mantle of leadership for the nation of Israel from Moses. And so, yeah, he needed a lot of strength, and he needed to be courageous. And I'm guessing that maybe God knew that he needed that encouragement because he was fearful. And so we went over that passage and looked at Joshua 1:9. We also looked back into Deuteronomy when he was also asked to be strong and courageous when he was being we're talking with Moses. We also looked at, these are all the notes we looked at in Timothy. We looked at 2 Timothy 1:7, when Paul was writing to Timothy and also encouraging him. He was asking Timothy to remember the faithfulness of his family and how he was prepared for the task ahead of him, take over for Paul, much like Joshua took over for Moses. And he was also encouraged to be strong and courageous. And then we looked also at Paul addressing his brothers in the Lord in 1 Corinthians, and the statement wasn't exactly be strong and courageous, but it was be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, and be strong. And so we looked at that, and we were encouraged by that, and we also had discussion about how our situations today really require us to be men of strength and courage and leadership, and to do that well. So I just wanted to review that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and hopefully, if you haven't joined our study on Tuesday nights, please do. The invitation and the link to that is in has been shared through the church email on a letter from Brendan. It's the same invitation that was sent out several weeks ago. It still works. And you don't need a password. You can just sign on and join us at 7 o'clock in the evening on Tuesdays. So hope you're all doing well, and God bless you, and we will see you next time.